Good morning. If you're just joining us, welcome to Good Morning Kenya. My name is Wairimu Mbogo. We are glad you are with us this morning. Now, today being Tuesday, our first segment is all about women, all about my girl them out there. This segment is all about you, trying to empower you, to encourage you and let you know that you know what, you can do anything you set your mind out to do. And today with us in studio, we have a fantastic lady. She's doing fantastic work in the medical industry. We'll be getting to know more a bit about her in not too long. But in the meantime, check in. Do let us know how things are looking on your end, where you're watching us from, and how you are enjoying the show for that matter. The hashtag is Good Morning Kenya on Twitter. At KBC Television is our official station handle. My handle is Wairimu Mbogo across all social media platforms, and our SMS line on the top left of your screen. That it's my right, but your left. On the top left of your screen, 20154 is the number. A name and a location will be absolutely appreciated. And do start your messages with the word channel 1 and no space in between the channel and the number 1. Right now, to let you know who we have with us in studio this morning, we have Dr.Wairimu Mbogo, who works with Meraki Healthcare as the head of commercial and operations in East Africa. Karibu sana.
Thank you.
We're glad to have you this morning.
Thank you.
I'm sure you are on social media.
Yes.
Maybe you want to give us the social media handles so that our viewers can also get to follow you.
So my social media handle is Wairimu Mbogo on Facebook and also Wairimu Mbogo on Twitter.
All right.
Yes.
And Mike, who you people will say Wairimu Mbogo.
Yes.
Yes. Took off a motor, Wairimu Mbogo, but Wairimu Mbogo across our social media platforms. Now, we just want to know a bit more about your journey, how it has been, how you got to being Dr. Wairimu. But let's just go back to, just you even as a kid growing up. How was life growing up?
I think I had a normal childhood.
Yeah.
I would say I grew up comfortable. I would say we didn't my parents worked hard. They ensured that we had a good upbringing. We had a good foundation. Went to Nairobi Primary School, just up. I think, let me start from kindergarten. I went to State House. I've always been on this road.
Yeah.
So I went to State House kindergarten. Then I went to Nairobi Primary School. And then I went to Moi Girls School, Nairobi. So Kaberians, this is your person.
Checking in,
Yes.
checking in.
Yes. And then I went to the University of Nairobi. But what I can say that stood out through that journey is that my parents were very supportive,
Very supportive,
especially my mom. Like she was there and she was a career mom. So for even us today and even for me today is how do you balance that whole career and mom aspect in your children to bring out the best in them
And get the best of both worlds.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So when I finished my high school, I think what stood out in my high school is that it was a school where guys were not getting A's. Yeah. And the one thing I can say is that my mom believed in that A. Like she would tell me, you know what, you're smart enough to get it.
And once mom tells you.
She was actually she actually drilled it in your head that you know what, you can do it.
You can do it.
It doesn't matter what anyone has done before. It doesn't matter whether it has been achieved before. But for you, you can do it. And I remember almost each and every day of my KCSE, she would show up.
Oh.
Yes. So she would come to school and she would say, she didn't care whether she'll see me for 5 minutes or for 2 minutes.
As long as she saw you.
Yes. And reminded you, you know what, you did well, let's move on to the next one. Yeah. And that sometimes is what you need in life. Just someone who tells you, you know what, we all know we can do something deep down, but something that we lack in our lives is someone who pushes you to that level of saying, you know what, you can do this. I'm sure she was scared. She was like, okay, let me just tell her she can do it. But yeah.
She was still speaking life into you,
Exactly.
speaking encouragement and positivity.
Exactly.
And that played a very huge role considering she's your parent.
Yes, it did. She was also tough, I would say, like all Kenyan mothers. You know, you watch them on Jemima and all those. She was the typical Kenyan mother.
Mom. Yeah.
But she didn't give you too many options. Yeah. She didn't give us too many options, me and my siblings. And I think that's what drove us to where we are.
To where you are
and
today.
I think my dad now tapped into that energy of, you know what, okay, this is where we are heading.
Yeah.
So let me make sure it's driven to that level.
All right.
Yes.
Now, at what point did you just decide or make up your mind about going into this medical industry?
Yes. So what happened is that when I cleared my high school,
Yes.
I knew I wanted to be in the medical field, you know, so the pressure, so definitely I got the A. Yeah, so I got that A, and you know, now everyone just comes streaming in with all this advice of yes, this is the best thing for you.
Yeah.
But at the back of my mind, I knew I wanted to be in the medical field, but not too sure where I wanted. Yes, where I wanted to fall.
All right.
So what she did, which was very smart, she told me to go and volunteer at the Aga Khan hospital. So Aga Khan had a volunteer program there. And I remember sitting with the coordinator and she was asking me, so what do you want to see? Yeah. So I told her I want to see a little bit of what doctors do, what dentists do, and what pharmacists do. So I remember I went into so for doctors, you know, you can't go into the ward. So what we did is that she put me in the HR section for doctors. So where all their schedules are done, where they get sort of feedback, basically the HR support for doctors. So what I ended up doing is to interact with many of them. And I remember telling myself, I don't want to be woken up at night.
You're on call at 4 a.m. in the morning.
I know it's exciting, but if Aga Khan is at that time is the best of what is available, I don't think I want to wake up at night. So I think quickly we moved now to the dental clinic. So I remember I was in the dental clinic for 1 hour. So there's a patient who was having their teeth drilled, and I remember saying, "Oh, okay, I'm not going to be on a drill the whole time." And then she told me, "Okay, now then you can move on to pharmacy." And now when I went to the pharmacy, although I don't think the hospital setting was for me, what I loved about it was the diversity of what you could become as a pharmacist. So you could work in the hospital, you could work in the corporate world, you could work in research, you could work in like the world was your oyster. Like you just choose where you want to be in that. Exactly. So I settled in and I said, you know what, this is what I'm going to do. I don't have to wake up at night. Although I still
drill
do.
people's teeth out.
Yes, I don't want to drill, but I still do for different reasons. But it's not that someone has to wake me up at night. And I'm happy. I would say it was a choice that I made, knowing what I wanted to get into. And probably that's something else that we need to encourage our young people. Just be more proactive and drive what they would want. And I remember at that time the pressure was no, go and do medicine. You know, as a pharmacist, you only become a shopkeeper. You know that whole perception of, and it's a lot more than that. And I'm sure we'll talk about
actually be getting to that. But you know, just tell us a bit. How long did you volunteer at the pharmaceutical department? I think.
So the whole volunteer stint at Aga Khan was about 6 months.
6 months.
So I was at the doctors for about 2 months. The dental clinic 1 day.
1 hour to be specific.
No, because the rest of the day I spent it telling her, okay, now I have decided this, I'm not going to do this. And then the rest of the time,
6 months,
I was at the pharmacy.
Now, during your time when you're volunteering, just it was almost a year of trying to discover, trying to understand which direction you want to take. What would you say you learned during that volunteer period that you were there, that, you know, if you hadn't done that, you probably would have missed out on so much?
I think the one thing that I got to see is a hands-on approach of what your career would look like. I remember before I made that decision, one of my very close aunts told me there are 2 decisions in life that you'll make that you'll have to sort of live with for the rest of your life. The first one is the career that you take. So make sure you do something that you will be comfortable, something that you love, and something that you know you can carry on for the rest of your life. And the second one is the person you choose to spend the rest of your life with.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
That you wake up every day next to.
Exactly.
Now, when it comes to our young people, and let's just pause there and just take this minute to just speak to our young people. When it comes to being more intentional with what you want, you didn't know exactly where you wanted to go, but you were intentional in trying to find out how, which direction you want to go. You had three options, but you had to sort of discover what each had to offer before you settled and even go to school for it. When it comes to being more intentional, especially that phase when you're done with your high school, you're trying to figure out life, what would you advise our young people during that space and being more intentional with your life and decisions?
Yes. I think the first thing that I will advise young people is stay busy.
Yeah. Oh, yes.
Yes. Like once you're done with high school, you know, just you can rest during your December break, but just make sure that by January you're doing something.
Yeah.
Yeah, that you have something to do, that you're not just sitting at home.
Passing time.
Yes, Netflix.
And chilling.
And chilling.
On somebody else's bill.
Yes. I think the second thing, this is a conversation with parents or any influential people around young people. You know, take the time to ask them, where do you see yourself? You know, they don't know what they want to do, to be honest.
And there's so much they can do.
Exactly. They don't know what's out there. Yeah. So if you have opportunities to expose them to people who actually do what they want to do, I think we should now start taking the initiative as the older people to now start hand-holding the younger people and asking them, and just taking a keen interest and asking them, so where do you want to be? What do you want? Because I see kids who, you know, when they clear even class 8 and, you know, the cameras are on them, they're being asked, what do you want? They all say they want to be, you know, neurosurgeons, because that's what they see, that's what they hear. But it's not a bad thing, but is that what they really want to do?
Yeah.
So let's stop, you know, saying, you know, this complaining about these young people. You were once a young person.
Yeah.
Let's now start taking a keen interest, genuine interest in them, and hand-holding and saying, you know what, tell me what you want.
And listening to them.
And listening.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I think that's also an area that, you know, some of our parents and some of us parents, we sort of miss out on that. We just talk to them, not with them.
At them. It's actually
at them.
Yeah.
You don't hear them out. Just tell them, "Bedhe ukipata hii utafanya hii na utakuwa hivi, utapata hii kazi, utakuwa kuzuri, utanunua gari, utafanya harusi, utafanya hivi." And you give them a schedule of how life should be.
Exactly.
And maybe that is nowhere close to where their life they would like to go.
Yeah, or they don't even know what you're talking about.
Like,
Okay, that's what people do.
Cool,
okay.
Mom. You know?
Yeah.
All right. So now here you are. You have finally decided you want to do pharmacy.
Yes.
You go into school. It's med school kama kawaida. How many years? 7?
So back then it was 4 years.
4 years?
Of no holiday breaks. Now it's 5 years with holiday breaks. It was 4 years of madness. You know, I got into first year and I asked myself, what is this? Like,
what did I get myself into?
What did I get myself into? Because it's crazy. It's not an easy journey. But I remember at some point during my first year, I remember telling my dad, you know what, I can't do this anymore. Let's you know, we had so many options. Actually, now start telling you know the other thing is when I passed my exams and that's one thing I'm going to say. I'm going to say one thing right now is that let's celebrate everyone's moment. Yeah. So if a kid has done well, let's celebrate that moment. Let's not bring in sideshows that you know that, oh, you know, even there are people who pass and this doesn't. No. Let's celebrate that. Yes, let's celebrate that moment and now start feeding them with options. Because I remember that time, I remember just saying, you know, we had options like I could go do econ in the US, you know, all those, they were all open. And I remember he told me, you know what, this is what you chose. You have to stick it out.
Ngangana.
There's a reason why you know, God allowed you to be in that place. Yeah. So it's not going to be easy, but you can do it.
All right.
So even at that moment of weakness, I remember there was always someone who would tell you, know what, you can
was the
push
voice that
forward.
was keep pushing you and telling you to keep going.
Exactly. So then I remember, so I did my campus, got to 4th year. And at that point, we had something called fourth term. So fourth term is where you have different career guys talking to you. So you have someone from the hospital, someone from, I think, research, and you also get exposed to the factory, to a manufacturing site, and all that, the retail aspect, the hospital aspect. And I remember there's a lady who walked into class for fourth term, so she was talking about distribution. So her name is Dr. Kathy Otieno. And I remember I looked at her and I decided, okay, I think now that's
it.
So this is the corporate world, I think, and this is what I want to do. Because back then at Aga Khan, I remember saying, I don't want to be in the hospital, so I think I'll do pharmacy and end up in the corporate world somehow. So
Malisik Hospital.
Exactly. Yes, but I didn't get into that immediately. So because you have to do an internship, so you do your 4 years, then you do a 1-year internship. So I did my internship, and then after my internship, I finished my internship in December of 2010.
Okay.
So now I think I'm starting to disclose my age.
Yes. Worry not.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I did my internship I finished my internship in December of 2010. And I remember I walked into that distribution company when I finished my internship. I walked in and I said, "Hi, my name is Dr.Wairimu Mbogo," back then, and I want to speak to Dr. So-and-so. And I used that title at that point because I did not have an appointment, and I knew I would not get an appointment. So I went in and I saw. So apparently, the person thought that that a huge customer had come to see them because it was a distributor.
Yes.
So in walks a young girl, apologizing, saying, "Oh, I'm so sorry, I didn't have an appointment, but I need something to do. I've just finished my internship. It takes 4 months for the government to post me to my next place. So I need something to do." So she asked me, "Do you know what regulatory affairs is?" I had never heard that word. So that's another thing. They don't teach you everything in school.
Now, let's just quickly pause there. Even in this day and time, when our graduates get out of school, there's always this, there's a narrative that is still in the job market that, they're half-baked. What they're taught in school isn't as practical as is in the job market. Was it the same situation when, you came out of school during your internship period? Was it the same, the things that you were meeting out there in the field and what you were taught? There's some sort of disconnect that was happening. It wasn't as practical.
Yes, I think I do believe that there is some level of disconnect that is there, but also I think we need to take the initiative, because the reality is that a course like pharmacy is a very technical course. It's about medicines, it's about how they work, how they interact in the body, and how all these other things come into play, how they're manufactured, why do we manufacture medicines in a certain way. So what I can say is that we also need to open up our minds into the application of what we study. So a good example is, today you're a driver.
Yes.
So you did vectors in math. So why did you do vectors? You did vectors. You did vectors so that you can, I guess for me, my application of vectors is the driving aspect. So that you learn, when you reverse in this angle and you move in this angle, the car will move in this direction. So I think we need now to start thinking of how do we apply what we are learning in the current situation. Let's not just teach 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's teach them, okay, we are doing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 so that you can count money. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I guess
the way we're always quick to complete.
I know.
I'm doing this. How am I applying it?
Yes. So in everything you do, I think the one thing that I would say now, it goes back to my upbringing from my mom especially. Should ask you, so why are you doing this?
The why?
Yes. Mbona unafanya hivi? And I think it's something that my family, up to date, can attest to. It's a question I ask. Why?
Tell me why.
Yes. Even if I go anywhere in terms of customer service, I'll ask you. If it doesn't make sense to me, I'll ask you, so why are you doing this? What's the rationale behind it? So let's start asking ourselves, what's the
Why?
rationale
Yeah.
behind what I'm doing? Because the lecturer honestly has to complete a syllabus
And
unless you want to be in school forever.
Yeah.
So let's it's a double-ended sword, double-sided
Double-edged
sword,
sword,
double-edged sword. And I think if you're doing engineering today, if you're on holiday for 3 months, I don't know where you're not walking into an engineering firm or Kenya Power. Just walk in.
Do something.
Do something.
All right.
Yes.
So now you have walked into this production company.
Yes.
With a very big title.
Yes.
Distribution company with a very big title.
Yes.
And here you are just looking for an opportunity. Did you get it?
Yes. You know. Yes. I actually got it. The thing was, you know, when she asked me, do you know what regulatory affairs is? I was like, I don't know. I've never heard of that word.
Safi.
Then I told her I can learn. Is it part of the pharmaceutical world? Yes, I will learn it. And I remember I passed, so she gave me her email address. And I kept writing emails. Yeah.
Persistence.
Yes. I kept writing, because I remember she told me, talk to me on this date. And on that day I wrote an email. So as long as if you've not been told no, keep at it. Stop thinking for other people. You know, I think or I feel namsumbua hapana. They have not told you no, waendelea. Just let them tell you no.
Yeah.
Yeah. Don't put brakes on yourself.
Or make excuses where there are none.
Exactly. Don't put brakes on yourself. But I think now, I think it also now goes back to being pushed. You know, even me, I wasn't given too many options. Yeah. I wasn't given, like, the one thing I remember is that if you decided it was swimming, so I grew up as a swimmer in primary. If it was swimming, like, you'd be asked, there's training, you don't feel like going for training? No, get up and go for training. You've decided it's swimming.
Stick with it.
You stick with it.
So also, that just brings in the whole aspect of upbringing and how much it spills over into the different spheres of your life as you go along the journey. Just take a moment and speak to the parents out there who are just trying to bring up the next generation of young, fantastic people when it comes to how we choose to bring up our children, because we're living in a very fast-paced times. And we'll always have an excuse because, you know, you gotta work, you have to do this and this to make ends meet for these children. Just when it comes to being present in their lives and being a very integral part in how they are brought up.
I think the one thing I can say is that we need to be intentional. It falls back on being intentional in everything that you do. So for your child, I believe, I have a 3-year-old, and the one thing that I've learned, parenting begins when you have to make the difficult decisions.
You love them, but you gotta make those hard decisions.
Yes. Parenting is not when you're letting them get away with everything. Parenting is when you have to say no, and your child will throw a tantrum because he said no. And then now you have to decide, okay, so where do I head with this?
Discipline.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I think also, I think also you have to identify what is your child interested in and what are they good at. Even if it doesn't make sense to you,
it makes sense to them.
It makes sense to them. And start thinking, okay, so they are good at this, so what can they become? Start researching around what your child is good at. Because if we did more of that, I guess our society would be better. Because when I talk to young people, the one thing that I hear is that they are lost. They don't have anyone. They don't have anyone to guide them. Folks are too busy giving instructions. They never have moments of conversations. If your child is 10, 11, 12, heading into a teenager, start having dates with them. Stop going out with your girls. Just, I don't know, just have breakfast with your daughter once every month, like twice a month.
Make it regular.
Make it regular. Have conversations. Discuss with them. Just tell them what the mistakes that you made and how you could have avoided them.
And be realistic about it. That's also the thing that, you know, most of us don't join our parents. They never did anything wrong. They all passed. And everything was like this, like this. There was a structured form of how all our parents grew up. And it doesn't really paint a very realistic picture. It's just that when a fickle ko inje, it's a whole other reality. Like, oh wow. I wish I heard this from my parents.
Exactly. And I think for us there was some level of communal parenting where, you know, if I'm at my house or my auntie's house or whoever's house, the rules are the same. Like, and I came from one of those families where if you did something major, it's a family crisis. My mom has their six sisters.
Family meeting.
So now the 6 girls or the 5 who are around will be called on you, guns blazing, and you'll have to
sort all of them.
Yeah, so accountability is key.
Yeah.
Show the children that you care. You know, because if you're accountable even at your work, if you know you have to do what you need to do. Intentional parenting is the way to go.
It's important.
It's important because I feel we are too busy doing many other things.
And leaving our children
and we've sort of thought that, you know what, the only time I can have time with my child is during the day. No, if you can have an evening with your girls or with whoever, I believe
date nights are important.
Exactly, you can have a date night with your child when they're on holiday.
And these things never go away, because look at you at this age, you still remember some of the things that your mother told you, some of the things that your father told you. So some of these things that you tell your children, they journey through life with them. So also be very careful, in as much as sometimes they piss the living patience out of you. Unataka kuwapeana, package them, ship them with everything that they own. You want to do that, but they are your child and you have that responsibility of taking care of that child. So be very careful with how you speak to them, how you guide them through life. Now let's bring back to now. Here you are, you got in this job, you're pestering this lady with emails here and there. You finally got the job, and you were there for about 4 months before you were posted. So how did that go?
So what ended up happening is that I got a part-time assignment. So I remember during the interview, so she called me, I think I pestered her too much, so she called me for an interview.
Well,
so it was so interesting. So it was the HR, herself and myself. And I'm being asked questions. I have no clue. Okay, like imaginary questions. You know, there's a way you go and research. You go and research and you decide this is what it is, and that's it. I remember at some point she was even answering the questions.
Because you had no idea?
I had no clue. And I remember the one thing she told me, Wairimu, I picked you because no one has ever come to me and told me that they just wanted a job. You know, at that point, I didn't even care whether you're going to put me in the store to pack my but I did not care. All I knew is that our home would be inhabitable if you just sit. So I knew let me just find something to do. Because also my folks are not the kind who just linger in the house
around,
no. So you have to find I had to find something to do at that point. So that's what drove me into that. And from there, you know, she trained me well, and I also did my part where I also got to learn the ropes, interacted with people in the industry, you know, asked them questions, and I grew from there. I grew from there.
Now, fast forward, just looking at how from that point you eventually left there, got different positions along the journey to where you are today. It hasn't always just been a straight line. There's sacrifices you had to make along the journey, and that is also an area that most of our young people don't really understand the value when it comes to making sacrifices. Maybe we can hear from you. What would you say were some of the sacrifices that you had to make along the journey that were necessary but did not compromise you and your set of values, but it actually added on to you, to your values?
The one thing, you know, let me first demystify. I was not a perfect child. I was a normal child who was pushed, who had the right people to push me in the right direction, I would say. And I think the one thing I learned is to listen. You know, there are many times we've gone against advice and you just end up in some trap. So you start learning how to listen. So there's no one thing that I did to get to where I am, but I think what I can say is that patience and consistency is very key. So I have been in the industry for 10 years. It took me 10 years to get to where I am today, because with that I have managed I was managing regulatory affairs in East Africa to the level where I worked with a multinational as well, managing, you know, East Africa, being a decision maker, working with different policy makers in terms of shaping the regulatory environment in this industry. And what I can say got me there was that consistency. That thing you're told, wake up, just keep waking up and doing it, wake up and doing it. Exactly. And I think continuous learning, that whole interest of, you know, I'm not just there to sit and to just work. You know, I'm there to understand, you know, the business and drive value in the business. Because the reality is, if you're not driving value in anyone's business, wherever you are, you're gone.
You're as good as nothing.
Exactly. Yeah. So how do you find value and how do you fit into those values? Also God has been very good to me, because I've been also in positions or situations where I worked under very good managers who I think took the time to also show me and tell me, you know what, Wairimu, you're young, and yeah, this is what happens in a young person's mind, but now you're working. Yeah. And one thing I can say that I learned very early on is not to personalize work. The moment that paycheck is gone, you're gone. As in
that's it.
That's it.
You're
you
dispensable.
leave. Exactly.
Yeah.
So consistency and continuous learning is what I think has kept me going through the years.
Now, I really like just finding out, you know, from all of the fantastic women that we get to have here, you know, was being a woman, has it been used against you at any point just journeying through your career?
Not really. And when it has, I don't let it. Yeah,
I don't let it before it gets to that
exactly,
point.
Exactly. The other thing I can say, I got married in 2015. Yeah, and I can say I have a spouse who drives the best in me. So I have one of those spouses who will, he's okay with the me. Yeah.
As you are.
Yes, as I am.
Not trying to change you here and there.
No.
Okay.
That's number one. Number two, he's the kind of person who asks you why not. Because I remember there's one of the positions, my last position in the corporate world, which was a really big position. I remember, I think we were dating back then. So he saw the ad, he cut it, then he gave it to me.
Why not?
And he told me, that's your job, apply for it. And I remember I applied for it. And even before they made the decision, he bought a gift and he said, you know what, this is for your new desk.
Aww.
So I think we need to interact with people who are your fans.
Yeah.
And who are also honest with you along your journey.
Yes.
Because if you don't have people who are honest with you along your journey, people who believe in you, don't have haters. Haters will be there, but you know now the haters are exactly. So the haters are put down by your fans, the people who fuel your fire.
Yeah.
you know, and the people who matter are the people who will fuel your fire.
Yeah.
You know, so if people are hating on you, don't focus on it. Just check, do they matter? Yes, no. They don't matter, okay, we move on.
To the next.
Exactly. Who's important in this equation?
All right.
So that whole interaction, that whole rounded edge of who is around you and who is pushing you to do better, I think makes a difference in your career.
Now let's talk to you as a pharmaceutical expert.
Yes.
Just looking at the pharmaceutical industry here in Kenya, it also has its fair share of challenges and, you know, successes as well. But let's just start with the common mwananchi. And when it comes to getting medicine, we are very good at self-prescription. Ukisikia unaumwa na kichwa, nikunywe paracetamol mbili ama hizi mbili litakuwa sawa. Mtoto akiumwa na hii kitu, you're quick to just self-prescribe medicine for yourself. What are the problems that come along with this self-medication and self-prescription that we have bestowed upon ourselves for the common mwananchi? Yet we don't really know what has gone into the production of those medicine, if we are using administering the proper medication for the proper ailment.
Okay, I think the first thing that I can talk about is categorization of medicine.
Yeah.
So we have OTC, over-the-counter medicine, and prescription medicine. So prescription means that you need to have a prescription
to get it.
to get it.
Yeah.
So if you're actually taking prescription medicine, and you know what prescription medicine is, an antibiotic is prescription medicine, high-level painkillers is prescription medicines. So the first thing I will tell the common mwananchi, wacha expert afanye kazi yake. Let the expert do their work. Yeah. If you're not an expert at it, don't bother.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because if you look at the OTC or the over-the-counter medicine, they always have a disclaimer. If symptoms persist, seek medical advice.
Yeah.
And medical advice could be from the medical doctor themselves or even the pharmacists at the counter. Number two, also find out when you're going to buy your medicine, who are you buying your medicines from? Are you buying from a qualified person? Or is that someone who opened a business? There's money in this whole thing. They open a shop and they decide, you know what, whatever I'm going to put there is medicine, a variety of medicine. Zionekane. Yeah. And now you assume because they're in a white coat that they are a professional.
Yeah,
so like
qualified.
in the pharmaceutical industry, we have two categories. So we have the pharmacists and we have the pharmaceutical technologist.
Right.
So the pharmacist is probably the higher authority to the pharmaceutical technologist. Yeah, they both have their different abilities and authorities. Yeah. But I think we need to start encouraging people to identify themselves when they in their outlets. Yeah. So if the public started demanding to know, if I go to a pharmacy, ninaona daktari ama naona technician ama technologist. I think that sort of helps you make some level of decision.
Because once you see someone in a lab coat, you automatically assume that's the doctor on
that they are a doctor or they are
qualified.
Exactly.
All right.
I think we also need to go and ask them, when is daktari?
Yeah.
You're paying money, as in it's not like they're giving you medicine for free. They'll take offense. Ama wewe si daktari ama are you? They'll take offense. Let's stop feeling woye for things that are causing problems, because I will now delve into a disease that we are battling with in this country. Some of these cancers that we are seeing is because is as a result of a poor referral network. So the guy has been going to a pharmacy, getting, painkillers or whatever for acidity. They get whatever medicine for acidity or for, and the guy keeps coming back and there's no one telling the guy, go see a specialist. For 3 years, mi nakuanga na acidity too, mi naumangwa na mgongo too. By the time you're getting to that whole late stage,
it's too late.
It's too late. And there's nothing much, once a disease has moved to the advanced stages, there's nothing much the doctor can do. Even if you go to all parts of the world. Yeah, let's not lie to ourselves. We have qualified people in this country.
Yeah.
We may not want to accept it, but there's nothing much that they can do if poor decisions were made at the beginning.
And that also brings in this conversation of, we have fantastic policies and guidelines when it comes to how each and every industry operates, but are we really implementing? Even when you talk about this, the high profile medication that, shouldn't be over the counter, but some are still sold over the counter.
Yes.
We are still in an environment that allows loopholes and shortcuts here and there. What more do you feel needs to be done to just create that enabling environment that will actually ensure that this medicine that is supposed to be prescription is not sold over the counter, regardless of the amount of money, if it's cheap or if it's expensive, or if you have the connect, or when it comes to getting medics who are just there for the money and not there to help, which should be the main reason why you are there. What more do you need to do to just create that enabling environment that will help us thrive at the end of the day?
I think one of the things that must start happening is self-regulation, because for us we have a regulator that is the Pharmacy and Poisons Board, but you don't expect to have an officer standing in every single pharmacy, clinic, hospital
To
check, oh, umepatiana hiyo dawa na una prescription. You know, we have to start self-regulating, and I think one of the ways of self-regulating is to strengthen the associations. So for example, if you can strengthen the Pharmaceutical Society of Kenya and demand that everyone is part of that society, and then the society in itself, you know, demands certain standards of their members, and that cascades down, working together with the regulator, working together with the law enforcement, because you know Pharmacy and Poisons Board will come and bust you, and then you go get a fine of 200,000 or 50,000, so you'll just pay
and back,
and then I'm back,
and the cycle continues.
Exactly. But if you take away my license, if you take away, remember I went to school and it was blood, sweat and tears, and that's all I know how to do, and you take that away, I think, to be honest, I think we'd start cleaning up the mess that is there. But to the public, let's demand more of our healthcare providers. Do not fear.
Do not fear. Do
not fear. Ask whether the person who's carrying, it's the same way when you're getting into a boda, ask uko na license. Because if you fall off that thing, you're in trouble.
And you're paying for that service nonetheless.
Yes.
Now, another problem that we are really struggling with here in Kenya in the medical industry is counterfeits. And still in regards to the cancer menace that is happening in the country, there's so many counterfeit medication that is circulating in the industry, and it is pocket friendly, and it is always the quickest option for most. When it comes to dealing with counterfeits, maybe I could just hear from you, what's the situation from, you know, your encounter with the market?
I think when I don't, you know, there's information that is put out there to create alarm and fear. The reality is that I would say yes, there are products that come in through unscrupulous means, but what we have seen in the industry is that the Pharmacy and Poisons Board is awake.
It's doing a good
at that
job.
level, at that level where the importation happens, it's not as easy. What we are seeing now is misuse of medication. What we're seeing is because we do not have the proper people giving you the medicines. So I think we do have a lot of quacks. I would say we have a many unregistered premises, and especially in low income areas there are very many unregistered sites or very many people who are practicing at that level. But I would say it's also a capacity and enforcement issue, because I'm not going to walk into Madare and just go start busting people with no security. Like I'm just
there's
not
more
going.
that needs to be factored in.
We need to do a lot of self-regulation, because and make sure that these people are buying medicines from the right registered channels, because the reality is that at the distribution level, I would say there are still people who are doing unscrupulous things. But the one thing that we need is that we need to ensure that the enforcement is handled in a much stronger way, because the guys up there are powerful. Even the drug menace that you're seeing is happening with very powerful guys. So if we deal with that at the top, it will start cascading,
trickling down.
Exactly. But I would say if you take medicine and maybe you get a reaction that was not expected, or you did not get the relief that was not expected, there are ways to report it. We call it adverse event reporting. So just write to the Pharmacy and Poisons Board, tell them you took this medicine, this is what you are taking it for, and this is the reaction that you got.
All right.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
All right. Now, you have been part of this cancer conversation in regards to getting medicine from India that, is considered cheap. Some go there for treatment, and those who are not able to go there for treatment, they end up sending back medicine. And for some, it's just about business. Tell us a bit about the situation there.
I think the reality is that cancer medication is not cheap.
It is not.
And especially when we start talking about targeted therapies. Targeted therapies means that this medicine will work for this particular cancer,
specific, yeah.
and it will hit that. So that usually that medicine is not cheap. So there are two ways in which it comes in. So number one, the Pharmacy and Poisons Board allows qualified distributors to actually import medicines on special import. So sometimes it's medication that is not available, or it's medication that is available but is very expensive. And usually what happens is that the distributor will get an order or a prescription from a hospital, and then now they will get a permit from the Pharmacy and Poisons Board to bring in for specific patients.
Oh, okay. Not just to bring them in like mass shipping.
No.
Okay.
It's for specific patients, and it's for a specific period of time. So even when the medicine comes, it's for patient X, and it's for these conditions. Right. And even some of these multinationals or these manufacturers of these medicines have created some access programs for some of their medication to make sure it's available for patients. Right. That is the right scenario.
Ideally.
Yes, that's the right scenario. Scenario number two is where now patients go there and they realize that medicine is cheap. Fair enough. Yeah. And probably maybe as the public we need to start demanding that medicines are cheaper.
Yeah.
Because if you asked the company, mbona hii dawa hapa ni hii pesa na uko nanunua hii pesa, I guess if we need to start ask for accountability as the public. So what happens is this guy goes out there and says dawa ni yake. Or the relative comes with the dawa, and because if you come with five vials of medicine that costs 200,000, you can carry that in a suitcase. Yeah. Wow. And the reality is that people are carrying that medicine in suitcases. Yeah, this is a scenario. Let me give you the real picture.
Yeah.
So when you travel abroad, when you come home, the first thing, you're tired. You leave the airport, you get home, you're tired. You're not thinking that you had put medicine I don't know where. Or there's excitement from your relatives that you're here. That medicine sometimes supposed to be put under what you call cold storage, or it's a cold chain medication or fridge medication. By the time you're remembering it's the next day, haya, nilikuwa na dawa kwa suitcase. Wacha nitoe niweke kwa fridge. To be honest, you've messed up that medicine. Yeah. You've actually messed it up because you put it within temperatures that were not supposed to be. It's like meat. Meat, if you don't keep it in the right, you can't cook it and eat. Yeah. So that's the reality of what is happening. And we just need to make sure that we bring in medicine, we get medicine from validated channels. Because now this distributor who brings medicine for you with a special, permit or import, yeah? What happens is that they use a validated logistic channel where even now the temperature is mapped from when the medicine leaves and when it gets into your warehouse.
It's controlled.
It's controlled. Yeah. And you even have a flash disk that you put in your computer, and it shows you the temperature mapping of where that medicine was. And it has a maximum and minimum, and that graph should be within that maximum and minimum. And when there's a spike, you have to call the manufacturer and ask them, there was a spike for this number of hours or this amount of time. Is the medicine good or is it bad?
What are the consequences of such?
And we destroy a lot of medicine like that. We have to destroy it. That is at the distributor level. But now at this other level, I'm not going to make a loss.
Minisha later.
Yes, and let's make sure that the right people are bringing in the medicines. And I'm not saying that patients shouldn't carry medicines for themselves. It's that now you should just be more aware.
And
just be more aware that if you're going to carry medicine for yourself, let it be priority. Like in your mind, let it priority number one is that I put the medicine in the right way. And how many hospitals will make you sign disclaimers, you know, because if I give you medicine and I don't know whether it's good medicine, you'll sign a disclaimer so that if it doesn't work, the risk is on you.
It's on you.
Yeah.
They shifted the blame.
Exactly. It's not shifting the blame. I think it's just the reality.
In essence, it's just protecting yourself. Like, yo, we did what we needed to do.
I think it's the reality because
Yeah.
if you took medicine to a hospital and I give it to you as a professional who knows, it's also very unfair for me not to inform you. And if I inform you and you insist, I need to make sure that you are well informed and that you signed that you are well informed, that these are the risks.
That were involved.
Yeah, because things turn around, especially in matters to do with health. With health, yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So if you are able to travel and bring some medicine, if you don't bring it the right way and it is contaminated in one way or the other, and you still go ahead and sell it to other people, what really are you doing?
That's illegal.
It's illegal.
No, it's illegal.
And people,
You're not supposed to.
People still do it. That's the sad thing.
It's
the
illegal.
reality on the ground. You know?
Let's just be honest. You're only supposed to be carrying your
own
own
medicine.
And it's not medicine for a year.
Stop doing business with
It's
it.
medicine for up to 3 months.
Yeah.
So anything that is medicine that goes beyond 3 months, you shouldn't be carrying it. You shouldn't be carrying medicine that is temperature sensitive yourself. You should use a proper logistics channel to bring it in.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that message must be clear. And if you're not doing it, you're wasting money. Yeah, you're wasting money. You spent money buying it. It gets messed up. It will
be destroyed.
Yeah, or you put it in your body, you're putting a different poison. That's a different chemical that you're putting in your body.
So shortcuts.
Let's stop taking shortcuts.
Let's just avoid them as a whole.
Let's stop doing illegal things.
In the
Let's
first
do the right
place.
thing. Yes, let's take care of ourselves. Let's not cheat ourselves that we are saving money by bringing in medicine ourselves.
All right.
Yeah.
Now, when it comes to just advising the new flock of young pharmacists who are coming up, you know, because I have heard that, you know, hey, pharmacy ikona pesa, actually ikona pesa. There's also work that is involved.
Yes.
Just having an all-rounded sort of mindset when it comes to joining this industry.
Yes.
What would be your advice to our young pharmacists that are coming up?
I think, first of all, don't do it for the money. I usually say if I was doing it for the money, I would be selling cement because I think there's so much construction going on. You can sell so much. You can go into a building and walk. And let's not do it for never ever take up any career because there's money. Because in every career there's a successful person and someone who's not doing very well.
Of the food chain.
Yeah, who's not doing very well. First of all, I think understand where your strengths are, where your passions are, and the reality of someone who is doing pharmacy today. We have not exhausted all the opportunities. Don't give up. Don't start saying, oh, you know, the industry is so messed up, or we cannot differentiate between, you know, different cadres of health. Everyone thinks we are the same. No. There are so many unexplored areas. Today, we don't have radio pharmacists. We don't have, we now have specialty pharmacists who are doing like oncology pharmacy. We have people who have specialized in renal, in ICU care. You know, I don't know, people need to open up their minds to what a pharmacist can do. You know, in ICU, the only thing you're getting is medicine. That's the reality.
Yeah.
And there's someone who draws up that whole equation of how will these medicines interact, at what time do you get this.
It's a specialty in itself.
It's a specialty in itself.
Yeah.
We are not doing enough research. We don't have the capacity in research. Yeah. It's such a huge and unexplored area. I think if you have the right motivations, there's a lot that you can do. There's a lot of innovation. There's tech coming into the health sector and also the pharmaceutical sector. There's manufacturing. And today, the one thing I can tell the government in terms of their Big Four agenda on manufacturing, you are expecting that people will wake up and start manufacturing. No. You create those factories for us. Go open up. You have so much land. Create state-of-the-art facilities. We will pay. We will pay to manufacture medicine in those areas, because that's how China has grown. They contract manufacture. That's how the Asian economies are growing. They invest in the infrastructure. And for us young people, we will go there. We will say, you know what, I need to manufacture whatever medicine. I know I can go into a government facility, well managed, well monitored. I have the expertise. I don't have $1 billion shillings today to open a factory. So let's stop shifting blame of, you know, people are not innovative. Well, no, we are. We just lack the proper environment and the infrastructure available to actually go in and do it. Because if today there was a factory, I would be walking in and telling them, you know what, this is the medication I need, and I need it in these quantities. Tell me what the minimum. And it's validated.
Yeah. And it's locally produced. You're building the economy and creating employment.
It costs $4,000 to inspect a pharmaceutical facility. That's what you pay for. Just inspection, without just the inspection only.
Without now the manufacturing.
Without anything. So I think this whole blame of putting it on just young people.
Not doing enough.
No. I'm here to revive the hope of young people and tell them it can be done, because I think I'm still within the category of youth.
Yes.
Yes, I'm still within that category. So it can be done. Think positivity. It can be frustrating. It's hard, but it's not impossible.
It's not impossible.
Yes.
You know, as we bring the conversation to a close, maybe just take this moment to speak to our young girls, just letting them know that, you know what, don't let you are your own limitation.
Yes.
You can only go as far as you think you can. When it comes to just breaking that glass ceiling, what would you tell our young girls out there? There's your camera.
Yes.
Talk to them. Talk to them.
So young girl, the one thing I'm going to tell you is that do not limit yourself. Do not live on limitations. Imagine and go for it. Just go for it. Let your work speak for you. We will make excuses that it's a woman. Yes, it's a woman. And there's nothing much I can do about me being a woman. But I have the brains.
Yes.
And I can do it. I think believe in yourself. Believe in yourself. And if you have made mistakes in the past, don't dwell on them. Move on. You know, life is very forgiving. Just get down and get up. I think that's what I'm going to tell them.
Don't dwell in the past.
Don't dwell in the past.
Especially on mistakes.
Yeah, and don't let men decide for you what's good for you.
Volume All right.
Yeah, don't let men decide for you what's good for you. No.
Be in control of your life, because ultimately you have the power to take yourself as far as you need to go.
Exactly.
People around you are just going to help motivate you, help along the journey, but ultimately you are steering. You have the steering to whichever direction you choose to take in your life. So take control of your life. Don't let nobody decide for you. Let people advise you, not decide for you. Thank you so much for being with us this morning. Remember, we have been speaking with Dr. Wairimu Mbogo, who works with America Healthcare as the head of commercial and operations here in East Africa, doing fantastic work, just letting our young girls know that, you know, you can do anything. You can do anything that you set your mind out to do. And of course, just looking at the whole healthcare industry here in Kenya, how we are doing and what more we need to do. Self-regulation is a key factor to our pharmacists, to our medics when it comes to how we operate. It needs to start with you, because, you know, if we keep this vicious cycle that is going on, tutajimaliza tu at the end of the day. Sisi hizi mwili ni sabuni, inaenda tu ikiisha. So do what you can and do it the right way, and just be good to somebody out there. Thank you so much for being with us this morning. We appreciate you for making time.
Yes.
Karibu sana.
Thank you.
Now, Good Morning Kenya does continue. We want to take a very quick break. We have much more lined up for you, so keep it here. The hashtag is Good Morning Kenya on Twitter, at Jen Wamboy, at KBC Television, at Raymond Nyara, at Ramaguko, and at Dorina Range. Those are our Twitter handles, and actually our handles across all social media platforms. SMS number 20154 is on the top left of your screen. Do keep it here. We'll be right back in not too long.